Madness is in full swing, and we have another Locked On bracket breakdown. And down go the defending champs, top-seeded Kansas going down to Arkansas, the 8 seed, 72-71 the final. I'm Jordan Black, and I am joined by the host of Locked On Razorbacks, John Neighbors. My friend, how are you? You just came from the post-game celebration, the post-game locker room. Let's start there. We all saw the emotion on everyone's faces, Coach Muss, Devo after the game, but take us into the locker room after the game. What'd you learn?
I mean, it's exactly like you would expect, just absolute celebration like no other. I mean, this team has been through a lot of ups and downs this year. They've had a lot of bad losses. They've had a lot of bad plays. They've had injuries. They've been doubted. They finished 10th in the SEC. They were in seed in the SEC tournament. So they didn't have anything go according to plan. And for them to come out, and it's almost just like a relief and just saying, this is it. This is the time where you're supposed to be playing your best basketball. And they did. They absolutely came from behind. And for once, actually did blow a lead. This time they had somebody else blow the lead. So it's kind of just this huge breath of fresh air and just an excitement like I haven't seen in a Razorback locker room in a long time.
When you see 3 Razorbacks foul out, you almost wonder how they're going to overcome that. How did they overcome the foul trouble, especially from 2 guys who were giving so much, and then you had at the end 3 guys foul out? How were they able to overcome the foul trouble today?
Well, that's the thing is that I believe you just had a great defensive effort where there was some problems with the early fouls trouble that they were going through, and whenever Devo settled in and Jordan Walsh settled in defensively, and even guys like Mekhi Mitchell, it seemed like they just figured it out. They figured out, okay, this is how aggressive we can be while also not fouling every single time, which hounded and caused problems for Kansas. So I think that they were just able to overcome it by playing their game, playing their defense the way they were supposed to, and just force everything for Kansas to be very difficult to get. And I think that Kansas is a good team, defending national champions. They were 1 seed, but I think that they did not respond very well to the physicality of Arkansas overall.
You mentioned Devo Davis. He did so much for Arkansas in the second half, and he really comes alive in March. How important was he for the Hogs, and also how important was Ricky Council, or who were you impressed by today alongside those guys?
I mean, it was a effort of those 5 guys that were there. By the way, I got Nick Smith.
What up, baby?
By the way. So,
hey, Nick.
So he's a happy guy as well. But yeah, so it was mainly Ricky Council, Devo Davis, of course. But then you had just great, again, by the defense of Jordan Walsh, you had Anthony Black, who did everything he was supposed to do as a point guard and being great defensively. And also Mekhi Mitchell. He's a dude that has just been so efficient this postseason that he stepped up into a role and continues to figure it out and continues to do it. So it was really that starting 5 that they had, or at least the 5 guys they had on the court for that 10-minute stretch in the second half. It seemed like it just made a difference. It seemed like they just figured it out.
It seemed like at key times, too, Coach Musselman's experience in the NBA was on key display, as it has been in the past, this season, and in past seasons when he takes his team to the tournament. Can you touch on how important it is that Coach Muss has coached in big-time games before?
I mean, it's everything. It's the experience. And, other coaches probably would not have been able to overcome a double-digit deficit to one of the best teams in the NCAA tournament. This was a Kansas home game. The Razorback fans showed up really well, but it was mainly Kansas fans. There's a lot of coaches, lesser coaches, that would not be able to know how to handle that, how to get the most out of his team, especially with a young team. Again, ups and downs, but Muss always figures it out. The man's won 8 NCAA tournament games in 3 years. I don't know of how many other coaches have done that in the past 3 years, but it'd be a very, very small amount of other coaches. He just knows what to do. He knows what to do when it matters the most, and he continues to impress everybody around the college basketball landscape.
Well, Arkansas and Arkansas fans are headed to Vegas. They will take on either St. Mary's or UConn. What does Arkansas need to do to move on after that? What do we need to see from the Hogs?
We need to see a few things. For one, they still got to has been in this past. We need to build upon that defensive effort because, as we know, Muss's teams have always been the best when it's been great defense. They got to continue to be able to build off of that defensive effort. And if they do that, there's not a team, at least not in this side of the bracket, that can stop them or slow them down. I'm not saying that they'll go to the Final Four, but if you knock off Kansas and if you can replicate a performance like that, especially defensively, how many teams I think are going to be able to Razorback? So great defense, stop turning the ball over, continue to get it to your star players and continue to get to your experienced guards, and I think it'll be great for them.
Well, how sweet it is right now. Thank you, John, always for your insight. We will let you celebrate and get ready for Vegas. Like I said earlier, I don't know if Arkansas fans and NU should be allowed in Vegas, but we will let you and enjoy. So for more on the Hogs, make sure you are subscribed to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. And for more on the bracket and all of the action, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. And thank you, John, for your insight.